Live. Oh, yeah.
Crack that open from the very get-go.
What are you drinking again?
Poppy.
Poppy.
I need my prebiotic.
Sam was drinking one of these once on the podcast once.
Yeah, I need my prebiotic soda to, I'm getting old these days.
Okay. Well, I'm drinking
to settle my stomach.
I'm drinking a lightly carbonated protein peach mango from Bucked Up.
I might have to give that a try.
Want to try now?
Yeah, let's give it.
Pretty good.
A taste of that. That's pretty tasty.
Pretty good, huh?
That's
Yeah.
pretty tasty.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Locked Off Logic podcast. As you can see, we're doing it in my bedroom because John's kids are in the other room and they're playing Spider-Man on PS5. And so we had to move the podcast to my bedroom. So welcome, everybody, to my bedroom with Jon Bigler.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully those two stay quiet enough and we don't get random, bursts of excitement from while they're playing Spider-Man.
I kind of hope they get random bursts of excitement. It's a good game. And I'm really excited to have Jon on the podcast. When me and Sam started this podcast, we talked about just your story, how inspiring your story was, all the shit that you've had to go through to get, I guess, to where you're at now, all the shit you're probably still going through. And so for those of you guys that don't know, Jon sits on the board of my nonprofit. He's the head of the board. We met in Guatemala in 2020?
Is it 2019 or 2020? Right
before the pandemic hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
I think it literally was right before.
I think it was too. And so me and Jon, we've been in the fight against human trafficking for a long time. We're still in the fight. We'll talk a little bit about that in the podcast today. And but Jon, first question I had is I wanted to talk about the songs that you picked for our show. For those of you that follow us on social media, every 2 weeks we post an episode and we add a song to it based on the request of our guests or a song that has to do with the specific story we're talking about. And your two songs were one by Metallica and Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. Why are those two songs what you picked for your publication?
So for Simple Man, it's defines me, I think. I am a simple man, and I think if you listen to the lyrics of that song, I think it describes me not perfectly, but pretty good. And it's a classic rock. I love classic rock and roll. Leonard Skinner, awesome. Not my favorite band of all time, but they're up there. And it just, I don't know. There's something about that song when I listen to it. It just hits. It makes me go, yes, what he said in that song. So that's why I picked that one personally for myself. And I'll have to, I'm going to go ahead and throw I'm going to die myself out right now. The other one I picked is because I cheated and went to Chat GPT and asked Chat GPT what song would I be if I was a rock song or a heavy metal song. So Chat GPT came up with Metallica's One, and it says, so I'm going to read it. I brought it up on my phone because I took a picture of it. It says, your serious, contemplative side that recognizes struggle, but also resilience. So Chat GPT, I don't think disappointed. I think it did pretty good, but it wasn't the song that I would pick for myself. That's Simple Man.
Huh.
Yeah.
Put it in ChatGPT right now if you can. Type in like this. Based on everything that I've told you, Chat, in our history.
Okay.
Give me my superhero name. Don't explain why, and give it to me in 2 words or less.
Okay. You're asking a lot. Like a technology challenged guy to put all that in there.
That's okay. I had a friend that recommended this to me of you just put it, you said, Chat, what's my superhero name? Just say that. What's my superhero name? Don't explain to me why, based on all of the stuff that we've chatted about.
Okay. What's my super... I literally have to talk to myself as I'm typing it out.
Do it.
That's my son would be smirking in the corner over there making fun of me right now.
Lucky for us, he's playing Spider-Man.
Exactly.
So he does get
What's my superhero name? based on everything you know about me, right?
Yes.
You know about me.
And don't explain why.
And don't explain why.
And that's it.
You said something about 2 words or less.
Oh. We can forget that part.
Why? Okay. Iron Valor.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, now ask why.
Why? Oops. See? Can't even type. Jace would be busting and laughing at me right now. It's kind of funny. You asked me not to explain why, but since you're curious now,
Yep.
Iron Valor fits because it blends strength, iron, with courage and conviction, valor. From our chats, you come across as someone who values resilience, faith, and responsibility, but also likes the bold, powerful energy of heavy metal and classic rock.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's awesome.
It captures both your reflective and strong sides in one name. And it says, want me to design a superhero backstory for Iron Valor?
which you totally could. I was given that assignment by a friend of mine that I recently connected with. And it's just kind of fun to see, what ChatGPT thinks about you and about the chat history, and so I think that described you pretty well.
I'm just gonna. ChatGPT was pretty dang good with the other stuff, so I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll take it.
Good.
I'll take it.
Good. Iron Valor. Okay, Iron Valor. Well, John, let's just start from the beginning. You're a California guy,
Born and raised
in Ventura.
So I was born in San Bernardino County, and we lived in the city of San Bernardino, but I was born in Loma Linda Hospital. Basically lived in San Bernardino County until I was San Berdue, as those that are from the area call it, until I was 6. When I was 6, we moved up to Ventura because my dad took a new job in Ventura County, and then when I was 11, going on 12, we moved up to the city of Ojai, which O-J-A-I. It's a Chumash Indian word. It's a cool little place. You've been there. I mean, it's just that little Ojai Valley is just a gorgeous place, and I'm so grateful. Like, I feel blessed that my parents took us to Ventura County and then moved to Ojai, because I mean, it's just a amazing place. And it was, as a kid growing up, for me, it was the perfect place to develop and grow up, and probably not get in too much trouble, because I think maybe if we were growing up elsewhere where there was more of more craziness going on, I might have got into some craziness. But it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I always tell people that Ojai is like the godfather of Libertas, because I mean, when Libertas needed support most, the people of Ojai are the ones that stepped up and really helped us out. And so I love that. I love that place. I know a lot of celebrities call Ojai home.
Yep.
And the only thing about Ojai I don't like is just some of the curves are pretty intense, and if you get stuck behind, because everything's like one lane streets. If you get stuck behind someone who's going slow, you're stuck there for a while.
Yeah, you end up on Creek Road, or you're up on, Santa Paula, like you're taking the back road from Ojai into Santa Paula. You get stuck behind a slow driver,
you're stuck.
Forget about it. You're done. Yeah. But
it's so beautiful. Like, the climate is so good, and you get like the LA weather without being in LA.
Yep.
Which so I love that city.
There's a reason celebrities are buying up like property and having homes in that area, so that they can escape the LA thing. Ojai is the perfect little country escape that feels like a different world than what you would find in like LA, Hollywood area. Yeah, it's.
So you grew up in Ojai, California.
Yes.
You go to school? Where'd you go to school?
So yeah, like I said, I was 11 going on 12. So I actually, when I was living in Ventura, I was in middle school, because they do it, middle school in Ventura is 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So I started out in 6th grade at Balboa Middle School, which is in Ventura. And then that's when my parents decided we need to move. We needed, I've got 6 younger brothers, so very big family. We needed more space. Ojai was the spot that had more space for us. So when we moved to Ojai, I went back into elementary school because in Ojai, the Ojai Valley School District does it different than Ventura. They do junior high school. So that's 7th and 8th. So I went back to elementary school for half of a year or so, and then went to Matilaha Junior High School, 7th and 8th grade, and then the only public high school that's in Ojai is Nordhoff High School. So I graduated from Nordhoff High School. Yeah.
And so you grew up in Ohio, you're a California kid, six brothers?
6 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 7 boys.
So how did this boy from California end up rescuing kids from human trafficking? Where does that? What led you to that kind of path to where that became your passion, that became your interest? Was it like a case that I don't know, was like, oh, this is really effed up shit?
So, honestly, that's such a loaded question, because I think so many things in life set you up to put you on the path that you're supposed to be playing footsies with me. I like it. And there's so many things that I just call them God's tender mercies, where He sort of guides and directs you when you think you know what you're supposed to be doing, and it turns out that's not actually it, and He sort of gently redirects you. There was a lot of gentle redirection, I think, by God in my life to put me on the path of what became so passionate to me, and not just a job or a career. It became something that I truly felt like I'm trying to make a difference. So I think it stems back to, if you want to go way back, being the oldest of 7 boys, sort of feel, and look, I'm a typical older brother, right? I cannot say I didn't pick on my younger brothers. I didn't bully them at times. 100% I did. That's just, growing up with a family of 7 boys, trying to, maintain I'm the alpha, I'm number one. It is something that, you don't really control, and you're immature. But I also fiercely protected my brothers. So I think some of that goes back to that, and how much, my parents taught us, take care of each other as family, and also, religious stuff about serving other people, that their joy comes in that. All of those things sort of, I think, got me in that direction initially. But at some point in time, and I don't even remember when or how, I had decided that I wanted to go to the FBI, and I wanted to be a special agent, and I wanted to do criminal investigations. But what really interested me was, there's a book out there, and it's called Mindhunter, and it was basically the guy that was the tip of the spear on criminal profiling and profiling serial killers. And I was like, that's cool. And I think it was the whole puzzle, having to do that, but also going after, somebody that's terrible, that is hurting people, also called to me as well. So that was initially the goal. And when I talk about being gently redirected, certain things happened in application processes or trying to get to that point that gently directed me over to, working with a different federal agency. And initially I worked a lot of drug trafficking cases and other type of cases. I volunteered for a training that I thought, hey, I'll go check that out. There's nobody working human trafficking cases in my office. It's not something that anybody's doing. Let me go take a training and see if this is something I enjoy. In that training, the guy approached me and said, hey, you guys want to work human trafficking stuff? I'm from Oxnard. I'm a detective. I've taken this training. I've sort of started working human trafficking, but I need some partners to work with. And I think we have a case that might cross over that you guys might have heard about. Sure enough, he started asking questions, and I'll throw his name out there because I love the guy to death, Detective James Langford from Oxnard PD. I looked, sure enough, we had a tip for that specific, and it was for a backyard brothel. And he said, hey, we got the same tip. Let's work this together. And I had never worked a human trafficking case. And we started working the case up, and I was like, I think I found what really inspires me. Like, that's, like I said, there's a lot of little things that led up to that, but that's the down and dirty on how I got directed into that. And once James Langford and I, Detective Langford, started working together, then I connected with people in Santa Barbara County, some of the great detectives up there with Santa Barbara County Sheriff, working cases with them. They were fantastic as well. And then San Luis Obispo County as well, because that was all my area of working, was that part of California. And at the time, there weren't human trafficking task forces. They were just barely starting to talk about, hey, we should put a task force together. And so I got to be there ground zero, like when they first started doing that in all three of those counties, and be a part of them, really starting to like work together as a task force, because as well as anybody, and I think we've said this in outreaches or trainings that we participated on together, it takes a village, because it's not just putting, the handcuffs on the bad guy and making, like finding that part of the justice. It's everything else that comes after that. And you can't do that without those task forces, with the mental health individuals, with, you need educational resources. I don't have to tell you, that's preaching to the choir. And I fully, when I started working these cases, I was in 100% that you couldn't do these cases without all the players. So that's kind of how I got that start.
Well, I know that, like, just basically, I've known Jon for 6 years now, 7 years, something like that. But from what I know about you can open that, by the way.
I'm going to crack this finally.
Yeah, do it, dude.
Because I feel like I'm leaving you drinking on your own, even though we're not drinking.
We are drinking.
my prebiotic soda.
Oh, okay. And this is 100 calories. Your fight against human trafficking, I know, has taken you all over.
Yes.
Like stateside, California, Vegas, Virginia, Utah, and then international. I know you've been to Colombia, Guatemala, Honduras, Peru,
Ecuador.
Am I missing anywhere?
No, it's pretty. I think you got it covered. I mean,
and I think when I first met you, you were just getting back from Honduras. I think was that correct?
Great question. I don't remember.
Huh. Well,
I've traveled enough where all the time frames start mixing together.
Weren't you in Honduras for like 3 months too? Where did they?
I was in Honduras in either 2015 or 2016 for I think close to 90 days.
Okay. And the other thing, were you in Medellin or were you in Cartagena?
I was in Cartagena, but that was 2014. And actually, I was in Bogota, but I went to Cartagena as part of being in Bogota.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Let me tell you something after we clock off. But okay, so your journey of anti-trafficking takes you all over Latin America, all over the States. I guess my next question is, like, what would you tell people? Like, is there like a misconception or I'll ask you this question, because it's something I ask all the time, and I just tell people, and you probably have a better answer because you have a much better insight to this side of who these people are. But I always get asked, what causes someone to become a pedophile or a trafficker? And my answer is always like,
That's such a deep question.
And it is, and I'm like, my best answer is like, I don't know, and I don't fucking care, to be honest. Like, I tell them, like, look, they might have some past trauma, they might do whatever. I do not care. I do not care. They belong in jail. They need these victims need to have some kind of justice in their lives.
Yeah.
And I know that answer for me is not the kind of debt that people are looking for. Like when I give that answer,
yeah,
it's just the best answer I can give. So what would your do you have a better
I think
insight?
I think that's all you can do is just give the best answer you can give. And so actually that goes back to my education stuff. So let me jump back to that real quick because my degree is in psychology.
BYU, is that your school?
Yeah, I went to school at Brigham Young University, BYU, and initially I went into international relations because I thought that would help me get hired. I thought that would be the best in to get into the FBI, and I thought, I would love to travel internationally, go work cases overseas. And a lot of that is tied into my uncle who, was growing up was a great mentor to me, and worked his whole career with the Department of State and overseas. And that's why I picked up a love for, people from other countries, other cultures, the Spanish, language. It was because of him. And so I thought I would have that.
Argentina, you spent time in Argentina.
Yes,
How did I forget that?
Yes. Argentina's another one. But so going back to the psychology thing, two things. I thought, I'm not going to be able to do a degree in international relations because it wasn't matching up with my time frame to graduate, because I went through the Air Force ROTC. So I started right out of college as an officer in the Air Force, just right after 9/11. And so the goal was to get over to, end goal was, like I said, the FBI criminal profiler, go after serial killers.
Have you seen Mindhunter on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's based off the book.
Yeah.
But the book is way better.
Okay.
I've
never read the book. I've seen the series. I've never read the book.
Yeah. So the book is
okay.
You hit it on Audible, you'll be like.
Recommendation for the pod listeners: Mindhunter.
Mindhunter. Yeah.
On Audible. Okay.
Yeah. So. One of the reasons two reasons I switched over to psychology, or three reasons. Number one, I wasn't going to be able to graduate in time for the Air Force ROTC to take my commission as an officer. So I had to switch up my major, in psychology required less credits to get a bachelor's degree than having a bachelor's in international relations. The second reason was, well, if I want to, go after serial killers and do this criminal profiling, I got to understand crazy people. Right, so took abnormal psychology, took some other child development classes, to try to get. And this goes all back to the why do people do? Why are they like that? It's a great question. And the third reason was, well, let's also figure out why I'm crazy, or why I feel like I'm crazy sometimes, and. Got a degree in psychology and I still have no clue. But all of those things I thought would lead me to do that with the FBI. Turns out I'm better equipped as a person to work and help those that are living than dead. So again, that's those tender mercies, those very gentle redirections by God, I think was directing me in that path because there's much more joy, I think, that I get out of, and I call it the paycheck on top of the paycheck when we've, the cases we've worked together, when you help a survivor or a victim go from a victim to a survivor and then to, I don't know if this is already coined or not, to thriver, to somebody that's thriving in life. And that transition is what it takes a village to do. Circle all the way back to why people do that. I think it's a combination of nature and nurture. Some people genetically are just, born with certain things. And then if you go through trauma and you go through, massive poverty, massive things that just mess with your mind, you go down dark paths sometimes. And again, that could be the trauma, that, whether that's, like domestic abuse, getting physically beat up, or sexual abuse, whether that's a lack of in the first years of life, a lack of love and compassion and proper parenting. I think that has a part of it as well. And we actually been texting back and forth about a book that has just like really opened my mind quite a bit, is What Happened to You. It's a book that's co-authored with Oprah. And instead of, asking the question, like, what's wrong with you? What happened to you? And I think that's a valid question even for these traffickers, right? Who deep down are people as well, right? But at some point they've gone off the rails. And the question is, what happened to you to make you go down that road? And I don't know that there's a definitive answer, because I think there's some people that have lived, a very easy life, and they go down that road as well. And whether that's jumping into, like deep into pornography stuff, where they're getting into deep, dark stuff, that and then they just can't control themselves, it becomes an addiction. I wish I could answer that question. I think that's the golden question, honestly, because if we could solve that question, we could solve the trafficking issue. Because it's also a monetary thing. It's a greed thing as well. And we know from the work that we do, drug trafficking, right? Massive profit, right? But you have the product that's gone. You snort it up your nose, you put it in your arm, it's gone, right? A trafficking victim, you can use them until that person's not desired anymore. And there's enough, I'm just going to call it what it is, like people that are sexually deviant out there, that there's, they don't care. There's something for everybody. So you can use and use and use somebody until they're basically dead inside, dead on the outside.
They're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even cases of like I don't want to get too graphic here, but even after you're dead, like I've seen cases where like the necrophilia and stuff, and just people are sick.
So I wish I could answer that question. And I think the biggest answer is trying to get to that, what happened to you, and then improve ourselves as human beings on how we're raising our children. Like children need love and compassion from day one, and those first 2-3 years of their life are so important.
For all the dads out there, what would you what are like 3 pieces of advice that you would give dads out there listening on how to be a good dad or a better dad, or maybe things to avoid to not be an asshole?
That's such a hard question. That is such a hard question, because I'm not a perfect dad, and my kids will be the first one to tell you that. They would say it. Because I've also taught them to be very honest, but I have, tried to give them everything that I think that they want and deserve. But ultimately we all fall short. And I think that the basic answer is the golden rule. Like, treat other people the way you want to be treated. And if it's not something you would want somebody to do to you, don't do it to somebody else, especially a child.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, again, I've fallen short of that many times. And my kids would attest to it, because we're all imperfect human beings. I've been working, and my brothers would all attest to it, and so would my mom. I've been working on patience for years.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a patient person.
Decades.
Yeah, I'm just flat out, I'm not a patient person.
Yeah.
But I've been working my butt off, working my ass off to become a more patient person.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think my best advice is because most parents generally really do care about and love their children. And if you keep that in mind and keep the like I said, the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, if you keep those things in mind, you're going to make mistakes, but I think in the end you'll be fine because your kids will know and recognize that. They'll recognize that, you're imperfect, but you're doing the best you can. Why? Because you do love them deep down.
Well, I want to, that's a good answer, John. Thank you for that. I do want to change gears a little bit. I want to talk about your family, because we talk about your kids, talk about you being a dad. Your family is very unique, I think is a good way to put it.
Very much so.
Very much so. Special, beautiful, amazing, and definitely not conventional.
No.
And before I do that, John, I want to ask you a question for our audience. Someone like you that rescues kids from human trafficking, that has been in the Air Force, and has done all these different things, what's your favorite movie? What are you streaming? What's your preferred streaming show right now?
So, okay.
Movie first, and then streaming,
Okay.
and then I have one more question.
Okay, so favorite all-time movie. And I don't think you're going to get it or see it initially. No, having listened to many of your podcasts and but maybe you will. Maybe I need to give you more credit.
Give me a hint.
It's kind of based on a true story. It's not superhero fictional.
Rocky IV.
No. I do like a good Rocky movie.
I do like Rocky IV. So it's based on a true story?
Based on actual, yes, actual people that like in history that, and maybe this will give you the clue why I would pick that particular movie. It's real people, and some would consider them heroes. Some other people might not. Some would maybe because they're, and in the movie you see it. They're imperfect. You see their flaws, but you also see, and honestly, history's an interesting thing because
it's always told by the victors.
Yeah, it depends on who you're asking, right? They could be heroes to some, but you could go back in time and you might get a totally different picture of these people. So, and they're I love the story of America. So they're part of American history.
Last of the Mohicans.
No, that's a great one too.
No. What is it?
Tombstone.
Huh.
And there's many versions, but my favorite version of Tombstone is the one with Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. I think his best performance by far. And if I could watch that movie over and over and over again. Seriously, go ask my kids, how many times has your dad watched Tombstone? Can't even count.
Does Val Kilmer, the most asked question on Google about the movie, does Val Kilmer say Huckleberry or Hucklebearer in the book Tombstone?
Yep. Because that's one of the best lines in the movie.
Oh, okay.
If not the best.
I've never seen this. Oh, where can I stream it?
You've really missed out.
If I can get on Disney Plus right now. Huh.
Because
Disney Plus. I'm gonna watch this tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to a Lord of the Rings marathon all day long. 12 hours in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Can't fucking wait. On Monday I have free. I'm on sabbatical right now until the end of September.
Yeah.
Monday, I'll be watching Tombstone starring Val Kilmer on Disney Plus, and I'll send you a voice on what I think.
So, and let me go further explaining why too.
Oh, this is fascinating. Okay, keep going.
Because it's about the Earp brothers. Wyatt Earp is basically the main character, right?
Okay.
And he's a former, he's a law enforcement guy.
Mm-hmm.
But to some, he's considered, questionable. His character and, like I said, on the whole history thing, it depends on who you're asking.
And we're all villains in somebody's story.
Exactly.
All of us.
But it's the Earp brothers being, there's Wyatt Earp, Virgil Earp, and so it's brothers, and they're taking care of each other. So having 6 younger brothers, I relate. And then there's a brother from another mother. which would be Val Kilmer's character, Doc Holliday, who was Wyatt Earp's best friend. Not only in the movie, but in real life. They were, that was his ride or die. That was the guy that had his back, and they had each other's back, and would, they'd die for each other. That kind of brother. So I have that kind of, I feel blessed, my best friend since 8th grade. Raul Garcia, he definitely gets his shout out. He's brother from another mother, and so that relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, I watch that movie and I go, okay, that's me and Raul. So I personally relate to the movie. It just, there's something that just calls to me because, I guess we all want to be the Wyatt Earp. I think that's some of the things that called to me, but I also realize, just like in the movie, you watch the movie and you'll see like Wyatt's far from perfect, and definitely has his flaws. I feel the same thing. Same thing with the song "Simple Man." I'm a simple man. That's favorite all time singular movie.
Tombstone.
Now, in terms of, I'm Lord of the Rings guy, 100%.
A whole marathon, bro, at the Megaplex Theater right across the street.
Yes.
Freaking, they got Fellowship of the Ring extended, Two Towers, Return of the King, but all 3 extended versions all day long, and they're giving us pizza, burgers, nachos. I can't wait.
I know it's not a thing anymore, but I have all the extended versions on DVD. And I can't part with them.
No.
Like, I can't watch them anymore, but I'm like, oh my, when those came out, and part of this ties back to something that, my dad's my hero. Just throw that out there. Don't want to spend too much time on that because there'll be tears. But growing up, my dad read the whole Lord of the Rings series to us as kids.
Wow, I didn't know. That's awesome.
And what hit with it, right? What hit with it was he did the voices for every single character. So he when Gollum would talk, he had a Gollum voice. When Frodo would talk, he had a Frodo voice. When Gandalf would, and it just encaptured me. Like it was, and I'm also a huge Star Wars fan, so let me throw that out there. But I'm more of the old school.
OGs,
old school Star Wars. No, actually, I love Return of the Jedi.
Okay,
I love Return of the Jedi. I love Empire. Don't get me wrong. Any of the first trilogy, I'm all in. Okay. And Jason and I, we bonded as father and son over the ones that came out late. So I'm not hating on. I
love them all.
Yeah, I love them all.
My favorite is Revenge of the Sith. Remember I watched that? Even still, I came out 25 years ago.
I think that's Jay's favorite too.
It's kind of like a millennial Gen Z kind of thing where we just, because you watch it and you're just like, every time I watch it, I'm just like, don't do it again, Anakin. I'm like, this is going to be the time where he doesn't turn to the dark side, where he doesn't attack his master, he doesn't attack his wife. And Okay.
So, and growing up, we did all the Star Wars, we did, from the first 3 trilogy, we saw all of them in the theater together.
That's like a lot of your generation, their experience of this is what cinema's supposed to feel like.
Exactly.
Is when the Star Wars: The New Hope came out, and you're like, because
I was all in.
My first this is cinema was Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
I'd never experienced anything like that in a theater, just being so engrossed in the story with the soundtrack and the characters and everything. And when I talk to my dad or people from your generation, it's like, oh, I recognize that feeling that you're describing, but mine came when I went to Star Wars.
So, and interestingly enough, when the trilogy came out, that same time frame was when my dad was reading those Lord of the Rings books to us. Huh. And I would say to myself, when are they going to do those?
Yeah.
I want to see those in the same way I'm seeing Star Wars. I got to have it. And, there was a cartoon version. And I was like, no, this is not it. Until they actually did them right. I was like, and obviously, it's Hollywood. There's,
slight changes.
Yeah, changes, but it wasn't enough where I wasn't still yes. finally.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And I would even argue too, like I just watched a documentary recently on the making of the Fellowship of the Ring, where there was some controversy of like leaving out Tom Bombadil or whatever, and he was like, but for this adaptation, I feel like we made it better. And I agree. Like after I watched Lord of the Rings, I reread them afterwards, and I'm like, for the adaptation that they were trying to tell on film, that was better. Because like you can't make the Council of Elrond be 50 minutes long. You can't have like Return of the King, have Frodo destroy the ring and then go back and to find that the Shire's just been decimated and Saruman's around. It's like, no, for film, that's when that moment ends and it just needs to be done. And so I think they did it better.
I think they knocked it out of the park, honestly. Because, you know, we mentioned it earlier, like the book never really matches up. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
There is the exception. That's not the rule. There is, you know, but generally speaking, you know, you can't beat a book.
Yeah.
But with what they did, I agree 100%. In Lord of the Rings, they knocked it out of the park, and I was not disappointed. And I was worried about that, actually, because I had my, you know, my dad read it. My dad read it to us. It was part of my childhood experience, and I'm like, please don't ruin this. Like, please make it so that I just love it, and I did. And you know, Tara spoils the heck out of me, you know, and bought me, you know, every time they came out for Christmas or my birthday, the extended version, and I seriously, like, I treasure those things.
Did you see my sword on my wall?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
it's funny.
Awesome.
That's fine. And there's a funny story with that sword. There's a girl that you'll meet tonight. She's really into like anime, and when she first arrived here in Salt Lake, we went shopping at the mall, and she went into the store, and she's just a nerd until she found like this sword that had to go with like the specific anime character, and it was expensive. And so she started to get really sad because she arrived here as an immigrant, and she just, you know, there's just those kind of luxuries you just can't afford. You know, like food, water, shelter.
Yeah,
is what you do.
That triangle hierarchy of needs.
Yep,
you're on the bottom.
So an anime sword is at the very bottom.
Yep.
And I was in there.
Would be on the top.
Yep, you're right. On the it would be a very top.
Yeah.
Tippy
top.
Yeah, fake sword. They'll never. It was hanging on your wall forever. And so she was like, "Let's go." She wanted to get out of there, and I was like, "But why? The story's amazing." She's like, I'll never be able to afford this. Like, why are we here?" And I saw Narsil, the Aragorn sword, and I was like, I want that.
I gotta have it.
There's this deal going on where it was like, you buy one item, you get the other one half off, which Aragorn's sword was still like, you know, $150. So her sword would have been, the whole thing would have been $200.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's just get one. And she was like, no, I can't. I don't want to take advantage of you. I don't want to do all these different things. And she was getting ready to walk out of the store, and I kind of stood my ground. And she was like, let's go. And I was like, look, I'm buying that sword that I want.
Right.
I'm buying it for me. This is me. I'm buying it for me. If you want me to, it's half off. If you want that sword, I'll get it. But I'm getting my sword.
Exactly.
I kind of flip it to where it's like, I'm getting what I want right now.
So you might as well benefit.
You might as well benefit. And then so she finally, you should ask her about it tonight when you see her, about the Demon Slayer sword or whatever it's called. A bunch of Demon Slayer fans are going to slay me on this podcast. I don't know what that is. But I bought my sword, Aragorn's sword, and she walked out of there half off with the Demon Slayer sword. And so it's cool that, like, I had no idea. You've told me a lot of really crazy shit over the years.
Yeah. And
a lot of really cool shit. This is the coolest shit you've ever told me. That your dad read you Lord of the Rings.
You had no idea.
No.
As much as we've talked, because when we first met, excuse me, I got a cough. Fighting a little cold. I remember we had a conversation, I don't know how far in it was, about, like, where the heck have you been this whole time? Like, we had a conversation about, like, you feel like an old friend, that we've been friends forever, but we never knew each other until just now. And so because I think, you know, go back to 2019. We don't even have, that's not even 10 years in the book. So we're still learning about each other, even though, like, I'd call it a kindred soul. Like, when we met, I was like, oh, here's my kindred soul. So I that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I got to listen to your podcast, because I find out little things that I'm like, I never knew that about Tyler. Like, that's super cool. So
yeah. Well, now you know how Narcs will end up on my wall. It's because of. Yeah, you'll meet it all tonight. It'll be great.
And I'm sure those that aren't Lord of the Rings fan, they're gonna be like, that's lame. That's but for us, like we just
Is
like
there anybody that doesn't like those movies? I haven't met one person that does not like those movies.
I have, and I won't throw people under the bus. I'm not gonna dime anything out, but I do know some people that don't like Lord of the Rings, and I was like,
They have to be crazy.
I'm like, is this so I did the what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
not what happened to you, because obviously there's something that
it's
happened to them that's wrong
Yep.
that would make them not like those movies,
Those movies are just the perfect movies. They're the perfect length.
right?
The character, the casting, the soundtrack. Fucking like, I've watched that movie probably, I don't know, 30, 40 times in the last 20 years. And when Aragorn is like, you bow to no one, I get teared up, man.
Right?
Just like,
Oh,
because like everybody in the world saw Aragorn be the king, right?
Yep.
He freaking went to Helm's Deep and he was like, I'm gonna stand with you guys. We're gonna wreck these guys
Yep.
out. He's leading them all. He's doing his thing. Everybody saw that, right? He
Yeah.
became a legend. He led Rohan to a win at Helm's Deep where they should not have won. He shows up with the army of the dead in Gondor, wipes them out, cleans himself up, and marches into freaking at the Black Gate. And he's like, for Frodo, and charges into that army. Like, he's a legend at this point.
right.
But nobody knows what Frodo did. Frodo and Sam are all by themselves, hiking along until they finally put the ring into Mount Doom. And Aragorn, like, using his platform, being coordinated as king to give credit to the hobbits.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's my guy right there. That
Yep.
is, it's a great film. It's a great story, but it's a great lesson on just like how to be a good man, how to be a good human being, and like now, like I like stories that are told now, like maybe a character that's maybe a little morally complex, like a Deadpool
Yeah.
or a Wolverine, or even like a Bruce Wayne, who's like, he's the hero, but I'm a little bit, he's doing some immoral things. But I also like Lord of the Rings, where it's like, no, there's a clear separation between us and them. Sam and his loyalty, Frodo and his determination, Gandalf the wise, Aragorn the brave. Just these people that are they're good. They're not complex. They're not morally gray. They are bright as the sun.
Yes.
I miss that. And I
But-
like that.
They're also not perfect.
No.
They're not perfect, because you see the little, especially when you rewatch it or you read the books
Especially
again.
it's a fellowship.
Yeah,
They get on each other's nerves.
yeah, exactly. Like it's not something that just.
No, there's like a dick measuring contest. They're like Boromir, Aragorn.
Yes.
There's definitely a dick
Yes.
measuring contest here. Gandalf, being wise, he's also not patient with like those hobbits that aren't named Frodo
Exactly.
at all.
Yeah.
There's some racism. You talk about like Gimli and Legolas of like, there's some racism there. They're good people. They're a good group of guys, but they're definitely not perfect.
But I think what brings them all together is they know what the ultimate goal is, and they know what they're fighting for. So they self-sacrifice. Even I think Boromir, like he realizes and self-sacrifices at some point for the greater good. But you see his pride, right? And it's not something that like he just overcomes. Like he has to work through it.
Yep.
Like it's not an overnight thing for him. He struggles, So, but ultimately, it's that goal, to save Middle Earth from evil, that makes them go, okay, here's my flaws that I have to, and here's the things that I have to do to sacrifice to make sure that Sam and Frodo, who you said would be the least likely to be the heroes in the story, and allow them to which is why the eye looks over them, because they're expecting Aragorn to be the one to solve everything, and it's not. It's the little people in the village, the Shire. It's them that do the little things of sacrificing of themselves to save and build others.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Oh, and it goes right into my next segue, because I know the main thing I wanted to have you on the podcast for was to talk about your family, about your adoption, and I want to go back to Frodo real quick.
Okay.
Because Frodo, I is preparing for like this watch tomorrow, and we're doing like a Lord of the Rings podcast next week with my buddy of mine.
Which I can't wait
that's gonna be some good
It's
stuff.
gonna be fantastic.
But like I was watching this documentary on Frodo. They talked about someone who accepts radical acceptance, and I was like, okay, push play.
I would. That's interesting.
It's fascinating because like Frodo, he's a young kid. He's getting drunk at Bilbo's party.
Right.
When he gets the ring and he realizes he can't give it away, he's like, oh, this is mine, and I can't do anything about this. And so he says, there's two moments for Frodo where he recognizes the destiny in his situation. He knows that he can't do anything about it to change it, but he makes the best of what he's got. There's that moment when he's having this panic attack with Gandalf, and it's like, just take the goddamn ring.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is like, I can't. Like, it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, you're stuck with it now. And Frodo kind of has this panic attack. He makes him tea. He's like, okay, what must I do? What must I do? At the Council of Elrond, where he's like, I will take the ring to Mordor. I'll take it.
Right.
It's mine. No one else can take it. Obviously, I'm the only one that has their head on straight when he's around it. I'll take it.
Well, because ultimately it comes down to he had zero aspirations for power.
No, yeah.
Like I would say he had the purest soul or heart of that group.
Mm-hmm.
And he was probably the only one, maybe Sam, that really the power of the ring would not corrupt.
Yeah. No, I agree, and
I think he knew that.
I think he did too, and he's still human enough to just recognize he's in a tough situation.
Yeah.
Because in Moria, he kind of, I don't want to call it a pity party, because honestly he's been stabbed at this point. Like, he's gone through a lot.
Right.
But he's that scene where he's just like, like, I wish that the ring had never come to me. Like, I wish that this wasn't my burden. And Gandalf really pours a lot of wisdom into him, where like that line just echoes in cinema history and it's so relevant in life, where it's like, so do all who live to see such times, or so do all who have this kind of burden. That's not our choice to make. Like, what we get to choose is what to do with the time that's given to us. And I want to bring that back to you and your family.
Okay.
Because
and I'm stretching my mind here because I don't know how you're bringing that back around, but I'm sure it'll make sense.
well, did she get okay to kind of talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay. So you and Tara,
mm-hmm.
when you guys were starting about starting a family and having a family, what that looked like for you, there were some biological challenges that were presented to where it's obviously, for someone, especially, I know Tara really well, I know how much she loves being a mother.
Yes.
Rewind 25 years, having that news must have been really hard for her. And like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm kind of stretching with this analogy, but the radical acceptance of like, this really sucks. I'm going to do all I can to see what I can do about this.
Yeah. And
I'm going to choose what to do with the time, the resources, and the heart that's been given to me.
Yeah.
And because like when you talk about that moment for Frodo in Moria of radical acceptance, what he does when he radically accepts, man, this is hard, and I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it back to you and your family. When you guys were looking to start a family, and things weren't perfect, how you guys radically accepted that situation and what you guys did with what was given to you.
So, yeah, like your questions are, like they really get down to the point, because some of that stuff, like, you don't process and think on the why behind things, because it's just happening at the time. It's just kind of, like what happens to you in life. But so when I met Tara, like, I knew I found my partner in life, and we knew going into dating that there was going to be struggles in terms of having a family, due to infertility issues. And I won't get too much into that, but let's just put it this way. I'm glad when we were going through infertility treatments and trying to have a family in the conventional biological way, I'm glad we didn't keep track of how much money we spent on infertility treatments over the years, because we were trying for 7 years and it wasn't happening. When you mentioned Tara, about like the radical acceptance, I would say that came from her. And I'm the Samwise, you know, I'm the one who knew I had found my partner, and just, I'm there to support. Because she is the one that just sacrifices everything for everyone else. Like, it's crazy. Like, to her own detriment, just like Frodo. Like, she will just keep going and going and going for other people to the point of it would destroy her. And I'm just the Samwise that, like, here, let me pick you up, because you can keep going. Yeah, we can do this together. Yeah. Like, and there's been times too where, you know, like, especially in the movie, right, where literally he puts Frodo on his back. You know, he's like, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you. Yeah. There has been moments in our marriage where I have put Tara on my back and I've carried her, but that's because of who she is. Same with Samwise when it comes to, like, he knows who Frodo is. And he, like, so we talked about it in dating years, like, even before, like, she knew there was the possibility that we might not ever be able to biologically have children. And the question we asked each other from the very beginning was, are we okay with adopting? And the answer was yes, because, you know, we did find, you know, our life partner. Family was so important to me, so important to her, like essential to the not what's wrong with you question, the what happened to you question. Like, what happened to both of us was, yeah, we had our struggles, but we both had great families. And we both knew that we wanted families as well, because we knew the love that comes from a family, right? And we wanted to provide that as well. And so we talked about it, like, hey, if we can't biologically do this, there's so many kids in the world, right, that need loving parents, and we want to be those loving parents. Are we going to be okay with just adopting? Or is not being able to biologically conceive a child going to crush and destroy our relationship and our marriage? And the answer was no. I said, I know what I'm signing up for. You know, and for a lot of men, that might be a struggle, right? Because they're like, well, you know, like, biologically, that's, you know, that's my seed. That's, you know,
it's my posterity.
Yeah, that's those are the eyes that I passed on, you know, biologically. But what I've learned is that makes no difference, because I 100% can tell you, and we don't biologically have any children of our own, but I can tell you 100% that if I had to put my life on the line for any one of my children, I would. And I think they know that too. That I just, you know, love them, and I'm just appreciative. I feel blessed that God gave us another way to be able to have a family, because I think the ultimate joy in life comes from family. It really does. Like, and just seeing them, like, grow and become the human beings they're becoming it's an amazing thing.
What is it?
The radical that you're talking about is Tara.
Yeah.
And I'm just the one that when needed.
Who's there? Her gardener.
Yeah.
Her gardener.
Yeah.
What are you, his bodyguard? His gardener. But it's funny because you bring that up, because I know that you probably went through a lot of growth in that too, because you know, just going back to Lord of the Rings, now I've got Lord of the Rings on my head. Another thing I was watching on this podcast was Sam. You talk about Sam and, like, the effort that he put in to help Frodo. Like, Sam grew a lot in that story too.
Yeah.
To where at Fellowship of the Ring, first 30 minutes where they were having that party, he wouldn't even talk to, like, Rosie Contail. He was like, no, I'm just going to get another beer or something. Yeah. And fast forward just one movie, when Faramir, the Prince of Gondor, is kind of talking down to Frodo, Sam speaks up for Frodo.
Yes.
It's like, bro, you want to know why your brother died? Like, I'll tell you why. He tried to take the ring.
Yeah.
He did all different things. He gives it to the Prince of Gondor. And just a movie ago, he couldn't even talk to this hobbit he has a crush on. And so I imagine, like, you two both, like, just went through such a a period of growth, like during like these, like just how to form your family, and for those that like are watching this and wondering, like, what does it look like to adopt a child here in the States? Because like a lot of people will, especially like on our foundation pages, which like God bless them, like I love people's heart for adoption. It's always like, well, I want to go to Uganda, I want to go to Peru, and I want to adopt a child there, not knowing that there's so many kids here in the States that also need adoption.
Yeah.
What does that look like on how to adopt here in the United States?
So that's a great question, and you know we've experienced both. Like we went through a private adoption organization with our oldest two, and which is basically, you know, it's a paid adoption, and that's very different if that's, you know, what you're looking for, because we wanted, you know, and maybe a lot of this is like immaturity, like we didn't know how to do this, and just thought, well, this is the way to do it, because we wanted an infant child, because we wanted to have a baby that we nurtured from day one, right? Yeah. Or day two, or, you know, but from the very beginning. And one of the things we learned in the process is, you know, that's not the only way to do it. Our foster care systems out there, there's so many kids with massive needs, and that's how the adoption of our twins, who are essential to our family story, happened, was through the foster care program. And actually, we never expected to be their forever parents. That wasn't really in the cards in the beginning. In the beginning, it was literally a, hey, you're back from Colombia now, after you know, being there on a long TDY, which is temporary duty. I was down there for a long time, temporary duty, and Tara and I had decided that we were never going to foster with the other one out of the country or not, you know, because it's a team effort, and we're like, we shouldn't be doing this unless we're doing it as a team, because they, you know, we felt like they very much needed both parents, and when it becomes rough for Tara, that I can back her up. When it comes rough for me, she has my back. So I came back from Colombia, long temporary duty, long TDY, and we had told one of our social workers, because we were going through the County of Ventura's foster care program, and you know, you have to go through trainings and get licensed and all that stuff, that we would never turn a child away while we were both together, you know, in the household. And so we got the phone call like, hey, we got these twins, and you guys have a license for two. We're going to need to modify the license a little bit, because we have one for an infant, one for a toddler, but we can't find a place to place them together, and we don't want to separate them. Which, fantastic, good on them for realizing, you know, how important that was, and so we did say that, like, sure, you know, bring them over. They had been sleeping in the office for, I think, 48 hours, like a couple of days, and we said 100%, and we're told by the social worker, well, they're probably not going to be there very long. You're looking anywhere from 2 months to 6-7 months at most, and then it's likely that, you know, they're going to transition back to, you know, biological family. 4.5 years later, we're standing in front of a judge and saying, yes, so we will 100% accept them as and I had already accepted them, because, you know, we saw the writing on the wall that they were going to become part of our permanent, you know, forever family. And so we would have never we had considered doing fostering, and we were doing infants, and we're like, oh, okay, we'll get one, you know, that'll come to us as an infant, and then we'll parent them from infancy, because, you know, they're not going to be able to go back to their biology. So we were just thinking of that, because one of the things we didn't really want to upset was, you know, like, we already had our oldest two, Jason Alley, and we didn't want to bring in somebody older, you know, sort of, I don't want to call it a hierarchy, but I mean, it's, you know, upset the hierarchy, and that can be very difficult sometimes. So we thought we would be possibly adopting through the foster program, and an infant. And it didn't turn out that way. They, nicknames. We call them Ray and Ro. Ray and Ro came to us at 18 months old. So, I mean, they already had a very significant part of their life lived elsewhere. And 100% they need, they needed that stability, and the love that, like I said, Tara would literally self-sacrifice for those that she loves, and she has done that with them, and it's massive. And we're not through it all. They're 12 years old. We're not through it, because we talked about this earlier. Those formative years, those first 2-3 years, there's a lot that the brain and a child processes and learns that takes a lot of work to overcome, especially when the things that are essential to the love, the knowing that you're going to get your needs met, all those things are not there in those first 2 years. It's a lifelong challenge. Yeah. And again, that you want to read a great book, it's that Oprah book, like What Happened to You? Yeah. Because that helps explain why a lot of people make the decisions that they do. But we feel like we can, even if it's just for, do I need to stop talking for a second?
No, I'm just looking something up. You keep going.
Okay. Even if it's just for a little amount of time, we felt like we could be a positive influence as foster parents, even in those children's lives. So, and there's plenty of children that need not just the foster care, but actually to be adopted through foster care. And so that's what it looks like in the States.
And you talked about like what happened to you, right? Like when people assume that you're adopting someone, I think they assume that like the kids are gonna come and be like, "Thank you so much for adopting me," cuddles every night, just a lifetime of gratitude. And I was looking this up. I apologize for the distraction, but it's a movie called Instant Family. Have you seen this?
Who's in it again?
He was in it. It's starring Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love that movie. Like that movie. It's, oh my gosh, Isabella Marcet's in this. I didn't know that. She's grown up. She's in The Last of Us. She's in Superman. She's great. But so my former boss, she taught me a lot about the foster care system. Specifically when it came to like trash bags, where when kids move and they have to put all their stuff in trash bags, like the message that sends to them of like, this is what I'm worth, this is a trash bag, family, and so she volunteered for a group that just like she gave them like nice suitcases for when they move, which a lot of them do, like a lot of them aren't lucky enough to have like a Bigler family, they can put their stuff in a decent suitcase, right? And she took me to see this movie, Instant Family, and she was like, that's what it's like to be a foster parent, where it's like you have a little girl who's 6, a young man who's 11, a young boy who's 11, and then a teenager who's 15. All of them have bounced around foster families for a long time, and so they all have a lot of trauma, and they're all living together, and it's a beautiful movie. Like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. It has a beautiful ending. But it's intense.
It is.
It's intense. Like the plot in it, where it's like this teenage girl. She's obviously has been through a lot. This little boy, like they've been through a lot. Obviously the little child, like she's probably the most like lovey-dovey out of the whole group of family. But it's still like she comes with a lot of trauma, abandonment issues. She was malnourished, so that affects her like in school. And I was like, this is a movie that people need to see just to understand that adoption is a beautiful thing, but it's a continual process of learning, asking what happened to you, and there may be some nights where you sit and watch a movie and you snuggle together with the family and you're just like, this is great. And then there may be nights where it's like, you fucking suck. Slam the door, dishes get thrown, or someone escapes from the house. Like, I don't know. I'm not a parent, so you'd obviously know better than I do, but that there's, just like any family, there's just stuff to work through.
100%. Yeah, I mean, if I try to pretend it's all been roses and hugs and kisses, no way. I mean, that's so far from reality.
And another thing about this movie that I don't think people recognize is that just because you adopt somebody legally,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that their biological parents are gonna let it be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this has happened to you. Feel free, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. But in this movie specifically, and other movies I've seen about foster care is even when you legally adopt a child, biological dad maybe still makes threats. Biological mom maybe still asks for money.
Yeah.
There's just stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And we've definitely had those challenges when it comes to that. And for confidentiality of those, biological parents, some of it has been fantastic, and some of it was
Fucking miserable.
Yeah, absolutely miserable. I mean, and it's one of the things that prompted us to do the to check out foster care, because those private adoptions are very expensive.
Yeah,
very expensive. And with the money that we'd already spent on infertility treatments, and then you talk about doing private adoptions as well of an infant, costly. And we knew that we still, our family wasn't complete.
Yeah.
We just knew that. But we also knew we can't afford to do another private, adoption. So what alternatives? What other things do we have? And actually, I don't know. It was somebody that we went to church with, and had this interaction with, and we're like, oh yeah, you have foster children? Oh yeah, but aren't you guys looking to adopt again in the future? Well, consider foster care, because they'll actually and they said it's going to come with pain, because there was definite pain. I mean, we could bring my oldest daughter in here right now, Allie, and talk about when we had an infant that came into our home when we were doing foster care that we 100% thought was going to be part of our forever family, and she mothered that sweet little girl like you've never seen. Allie was right there with Tara, second mother, and we were told there's not a chance that this sweet little girl is going to back to her biological family. It isn't going to happen, and it's very, very likely that you guys will make her part of your forever family and be able to adopt her. And then out of nowhere, 2.5, 3 months into it, we get a phone call. Hey, we're coming to get her. I'm not even going to say her name, because it's confidentiality, like I said. But we had zero warning. And the social worker, she could have cared less. And I'm not. This is not a bash on social workers, because just like any person, any profession, any race, religion, there's wonderful people out there, and then there's just those that are not so much.
Yeah. I've met shitty pastors. I've met shitty social workers. I've met shitty special agents. They're just people that are just shitty.
Exactly, and it doesn't matter what walk of life, whether it be rich, poor, like we said. It doesn't matter race, religion, country. There's just some people that are good human beings, and there's others that are not. And I'm not saying that social work wasn't a good human being, but what I can tell you is she was not doing her job very well, and could care less about the ramifications for our family. It destroyed Allie. We literally had to ask for the county of Ventura to pay for therapy for her, because she was so she spent her whole spring break mothering that child, thinking that that's going to be her future little sister. And she made emotional attachments to this beautiful little girl. And this social worker shows up and, we're taking her. She's going off to, her permanent foster family. We're like, that's us. What are you talking about? We were told there's, oh, no, that was an on-call social worker that didn't even know the full history of, didn't look all the way into the file. And said something out of turn that they shouldn't have, that child was supposed to, she was supposed to go to another foster parent, and the only reason she didn't straight out of the hospital is because she had, another infant and didn't have the license for 2 infants in her home, and she was the one that was set to have that child in her home. And I'm just, this is information that would have been good on day 1.
Yeah.
But how do you not get emotionally attached? If you're really in it because you want to love and nurture and do all those things, you're going to get attached no matter what. And that's one of the things we had to learn early on. We're going to get attached, and we have to learn how to work through it. And so actually, props to the therapist that the County of Ventura paid for to come in, because she didn't just work with Allie, she worked with us too. And we came through it with some knowledge and some good tools to cope with when that happened, because it did happen again. But thankfully not in those, not in that way. Me, I don't hold back anything, and I made it very clear to them how terrible it was and unprofessional the behavior was and how they treated it, and could care less how it affected us. And I made that very well known. And so I don't know if they were just more careful with us after that, or if they, as an agency, maybe learned something. I can tell you they're much better with us. Yeah. So props to them for taking an experience that wasn't handled very well and learning and doing it at least more professionally and more caring for us. And that ultimately landed the twins in our home, who we realized, these are the ones we were waiting for. Now it makes sense. We had the hindsight 2020, like, yeah, here's our forever family that, we didn't expect to still be here after 6 months. 4.5 years later,
stand before a judge.
We're their forever parents.
That's such a good story, man. Your whole journey is such a good story. It's just so inspiring, and I think like to kind of close this out, like on the Locked Off Logic podcast, like we're here to talk about stories that are meaningful, stories that are impactful, stories that say something. Like, very rarely do we talk about stories that don't have ripple effects, like through time. I think like just looking back on like that experience, I don't know if you would do anything different, because what I know about you is how loving you are, how lucky your kids are to have you for a dad, how lucky I am to have you as a friend, how lucky the foundation is to have you on our side. Like, even for me, like when I left where I was, like there was a lot of people said they'd step up and they'd help, but there was one guy that took a road trip from Vegas to California that actually made it to where...
That was some good times.
That was some good times. And ended at Lake Tahoe, to where just through that trip and you stepping up, like you're just... There's 2 things I think I know about you before I get to my final question. Is you step up for the people you care about, especially when doors are closed. Like, there's an experience where I won't go into too many details because we'd have to start naming 3-letter agencies, which I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But there was someone that put his neck out on the line for an agency of yours, and he was being mistreated by people with a much shinier badge than you,
mm-hmm.
and you weren't going to have it. The doors were closed, and there was no benefit except for what God was witnessing for you to step up in that moment, and you did. You step up when the world's watching, when no one's watching, for the people you care about, the people that need you to step up, and you fucking hate bullies.
Oh, can't stand
Those
it.
are the 2 things that I know for a God-given fact about you, is that you don't like bullies, and that you step up for your people, especially when the doors are closed.
Well, and I think because I was a bully at one time to my own brothers, and learned that was the wrong thing, that I could be the opposite, that I could be a protector, and that I got more out of loving and protecting my brothers than bullying them, because the bullying was an insecurity that I had about myself. And I think that's one of the things that's made all the difference in my life, is when I made that realization that, and I think it comes to the phrase with more power comes more responsibility. I realized, okay, I am strong and I am a powerful guy. Am I using that power and strength to lift others or to push other people down? Yeah. And I can't tell you when that point was. I can't tell you when I made the connection that by lifting others, I get joy and I strengthen myself and I become a better person. But once I did realize that, and I can't say there was a specific moment, but once I did realize that, I'm like, that's who I need to be as a person. But with my imperfections as well, which when we go back to the very beginning of the podcast, because I think many of us are that simple kind of man, right? If we're talking, like me personally, I am a very simple kind of man. Yeah. But I know what's important to me, and I know what brings me joy, and I will fight, even if it's to the death, to protect those things. I mean, that's what it really comes down to.
So, last question. When a movie is made about the life of Jon Bigler, who plays you in your story? I know you gave me a recommendation.
Yeah.
Cole Hauser from Yellowstone.
Cole Hauser. And actually, I don't want to be the kind of guy that takes credit for somebody else. I can't even remember who said, because when you asked that question and said, hey, if I asked you this, I'm just gonna time you out. Yeah. If I asked you this, who would you say? And I honestly couldn't come up with.
You put in ChatGPT.
No, I didn't. I asked other people.
Okay.
And so in asking other people, and I can't even remember who it was that actually said it, but one of the people said, well, yeah, Cole Hauser, 100% from Yellowstone. Now, if you're going back years, so when I'm like 19, 20, 21, and being in Central South America, being in Argentina, people used to say all the time, Kevin Costner, which is funny. He's also in Yellowstone. And I used to, all the time, I don't look anything like that guy. Really? No, you look like Kevin Costner. Obviously, back then I didn't have this thick beard. Wasn't as heavy as I am now. Put on all this anxiety, stress weight from the job and what some of the dark places that this job has taken me. That's what people used to say is, oh, Kevin Costner. I don't think that one matches, so that's why I didn't even mention that one, and that's why I started asking around. And Cole Hauser was the one that, and somebody else, and I said, if you bring it up, I'm gonna hurt you, but I'll just bring it up myself because I'm all about the open transparency. I said, if you say Jack Black, remember when I told you, say Jack Black, I'm gonna have to kick your butt on the podcast. Because whoever told me that one, there was somebody else that I asked, and they're like, Jack Black. I'm like, I'm going to throat punch you right now.
I don't think Jack Black matches your personality.
Absolutely, 100% not. Just because I'm fat and I have a beard.
No, and Sam already claimed Jack Black. I think, I like that one. You like
Cole Hauser?
I like Cole Hauser. My other recommendation would be David Harbour. From Stranger Things, Thunderbolts. That would be my other one. It kind of depends on, if the movie's made about you, is it... Because obviously you need to put a lot of your stories that come across decades, maybe like a 2-year span. If it's a younger John, Cole Hauser, without a doubt. If it's like John from 31 to 40, younger John. Well, if it's John from 45, 60, I think David Harbour. Well,
again, let's be totally honest and transparent, because I think that's important as well. I think you're probably closer to the truth. He's probably a better fit because Cole Hauser's, and no disrespect, a much better. He's a more handsome guy. And
but the beard, though, look at the beard. The color of the beard of David Harbour, the white and the dark. I think it's just perfect. I think,
especially if you're going off of the looks, David Harbour's probably a better choice because I have to say Cole Hauser in a non but
it's your movie. You can do whatever you want.
He's a handsome man.
Who plays Tara?
Oh,
I didn't think about this. It can't be Cole Hauser's girlfriend in Yellowstone. No match at all.
100%, not even close.
No,
not even close. Who plays Tara?
Who plays Tara?
God, that's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
Like I have to think of the most gorgeous person with like gorgeous blue eyes. That is just like the most caring.
How old is Tara?
Ooh, you can't ask me that question on a podcast.
Oh, okay.
That's just.
She looks very young.
You're trying to put me in the doghouse. She very much does. Actually, there's a lot of people that like when they ask her how old she is, they think she's like 10 to 15 years younger than she is. But that's a hard one. That's a hard one.
I just googled. I think. Oh, it is a hard one.
I'm gonna have to definitely use the phone on this one too because that's tough. That is a tough one.
Ooh, I think I got one. Hang on, stand by, listeners. Sorry, we're doing some research here.
Yeah, we're cheating a little bit, right?
We're cheating a little bit.
And right now, Jace would be laughing at me because I can't even get the proper thing to open on my phone. So, I'm blowing it big time.
I have one. It's not a. It's. I think she would be a good match for either David Harbour or Cole Hauser in the movie that you're making. It is actress. I'm gonna get her name wrong. Famke Janssen. No, that's not her. Yes, she was. Famke Janssen. She played Jean Grey in the X-Men, in the early 2000s X-Men. I think she'd be a good, it's not a perfect representation, but that would be that's who I think. Or just throw it into ChatGPT and see what Chat thinks. She was also in the Blacklist, the second one.
See, I'm trying to cheat here and like...
Yeah, that's what I think. What do you think?
Well, I know. See, the one that I'd throw out there, like, I mean, because Megan Fox has gorgeous blue eyes, but that seems like just like too easy of an answer, too easy one to throw out there. So.
But why not? It's your movie.
Yeah, it's my
movie.
Megan Fox
and Cole Hauser in the story of Jon Bigler. I actually like this story.
That's the one that's when I'm looking here.
Let's do that. Megan Fox.
That's the one that's popping up.
I love it.
As I'm looking through like different ones like with gorgeous blue eyes. Maybe Olivia Wilde.
Oh, yeah, she would be good.
I think that might be the better fit, actually.
Okay.
Just looking at the picture I'm looking at right now.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
I think that's the
Yep, that's
I
it.
think
It's
that's
Olivia
the
Wilde.
play.
Yep. Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde.
Terry, if you're watching,
and
David Harbour, Olivia Wilde.
I think David Harbour is.
I
think David Harbour is definitely the play on my end because it's a little bit of Beauty and the Beast for sure. Like.
I love it. Yeah. Just a nice mix. It's like the vibe that he gives off is like the cop in Stranger Things.
He's the protective father figure
who was very honest with people. That,
And if you think about it too, like, wow, the adoption part of that plays in as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
like we didn't even think about that angle because technically that's not his biological, but he steps in 100% is willing to give his life.
I think that's it.
For her.
Yeah, I think
he loves her that much.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's David Harbour. Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah.
Well, as we close out, is there anything else you've left unsaid? Any last bit of advice you want to give the audience, or are we
Well, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because you brought it up, and I don't even know how you would even work it in. But you had mentioned one of the cases that we worked together.
Oh yeah.
And at this point, I don't even know how you work it in, but I remembered it in my brain. So I don't know if it's important to mention that.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So
hang on 1 second.
Like it seems random at this.
Okay, sorry, but we had to take a little piss break. John brought up a good point before the podcast. Is that we were going to, and I just forgot to mention it because we got so involved with like Lord of the Rings and shit. Is there's a case that he worked on.
And technically, I didn't really. It wasn't really my case. I sort of inherited it.
Well, tell us about it. Just go from the beginning. Just start. Tell us about the case and.
So I was actually initially kind of unaware of the case.
Like what is it? Like what is the case? I guess one of the questions I had to ask you was like that I just forgot. I don't know why I forgot, but like one of the like you talk about like what makes a pedophile, what makes a predator, who's the worst one, and I imagine this guy you're about to talk about is a pretty high up on the list of the biggest shitheads you've had to come up against.
Yeah, and I don't. Again, a great question to him would be what happened to you, right? Because on the surface, like if you were just to look at him without going deeper, he probably looked like just an okay family man, your average guy, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he had his own kids. He had gone through a divorce. Actually, if I remember his story correctly, because sometimes, especially the traffickers themselves, because to me, they're unimportant, right? I should want to care about their history and what put them into that spot, but it's hard because of the victimization and because of the pain they've caused somebody else. It's hard for me to humanize them. It's very easy for me to just go, yeah, these are all monsters, but they're really not. They're human beings that have gone through their own stuff as well. But in his case, if I remember correctly, like he was from Guatemala, I believe. Like he was born in Guatemala. I don't remember 100% because I could be mixing it up with another case. Because like I said, I don't want to know them.
Do you remember his name?
I don't. Because a lot of them, I try to put out names from my head. Because to me, the focus it has to be on the victims and remembering them. Because they're the ones that are important in the story. And I've heard your podcast so many times. They're the heroes, right? Yeah. So you remember the heroes. You try to forget the villains, even though some of them are unforgettable.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Right? Like you want to forget them.
Yeah.
Because of the things that they do and the decisions they make and harming other people and just giving, two shits. There it is. Sorry, Mom. But there it is. Just not caring about other people. And how do you not care about another human being? Yeah. In our core is love, right? And it's what sets us apart from any other thing on planet Earth is our capacity to love and nurture and care and some people do it so well and others are the exact opposite. But yeah, this particular guy, if I remember correctly, born in Guatemala, to me, won the lottery, came here, was able to get an education in the United States, got great education and a great job, and then started going back to Guatemala and abusing, young girls, sexually abusing them. And one of there's multiple victims, and at some point in time, he crossed back from Mexico into the U.S. and props to the Border Patrol agents or maybe it was CBP, I don't know, but props to whoever stopped him. Again, if I'm remembering the story correctly, like I said, I mix a lot of them together, but I remember correctly, he was coming back to the United States, had a gun on him, and because he illegally crossed into Mexico and back into the United States with a gun, no go. And so they secondaried the guy, and there was also probably some drug issues that they came across. And at some point in time, his his phone was searched and they found child pornography, or what we, CSAM is the new acronym, but found child pornography on his phone. And honestly, people that are great at doing their job were able to find who some of these victims were, and specifically 2 of them that were sisters. And this guy basically, drugged them and sexually exploited them while they were, and one of them knew kind of what was going on and did not, basically faked taking what he was trying to drug him with, and had the vivid memories of him trying to, or initially sexually assaulting, I believe, her sister and her friend, and having to sit there and quietly, while you're trying to act like you're asleep, experience this monster sexually assaulting your sister and her friend, and then knowing he's probably coming for you next. And thankfully was able to play it off like she was half asleep, but he went after her as well, but didn't assault her to the extent that he did the other 2, and filmed it, and was able to track this back to him. And one of my coworkers, who's an excellent human being, was working the case, and turned out that he had some difficulty in terms of travel and stuff, and was not able to make the travel. So I got plugged into this case, and had to go basically make the victim identification. So I had to see the videos. I had to, some of the hardest part of our job, because that's, nobody wants to. If you're a decent human being, you don't want to see that. Just it's disgusting. It's smut, and you don't want to have any part of it. But be able to bring justice, you have to. Because we had to properly identify this victim. And through watching the videos and still shots of photos, and then meeting her in person, I was able to say, yes, this is the person on the video. And yes, the agents that seize the phone are able to say, yes, this is the phone that we seized from him. This is the material that was found on his phone, and make that connection so that he could, there's some justice could be had for these little victims, and very sweet little girls who didn't deserve that. And I had I'm going to say opportunity, because I really felt like it was an opportunity to go and testify in court in his trial and say, yes, I identified her. Yes, she's underage. Yes, I verified her birth certificate.
Did he plead not guilty?
Yeah, he tried to fight it. He went to court and lost the case. And his lawyer made it very, very clear that there was, this will be appealed. And yeah, I mean, it's a lawyer doing his job as well, right? Making it clear, we're going to appeal this, but please don't, because keep this monster where he belongs. And he is in prison, and that's a whole nother side of me. That's maybe a conversation for a different day. But I really would love to understand him. I would love to answer that question that you brought up from the very beginning. Like, why? Why are you this way? What made you this way? What happened to you? And let's be clear. That could be trauma in his own life, or it could be decisions he made.
Yeah. And
in making those decisions, very poor decisions, he went down a road he shouldn't have, and ended up becoming the monster that he was.
Either way, it's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse, no. It doesn't condone it at all. But my brain would like to understand. Because, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, if we could understand, maybe we could fight this from the very get-go, prevention, rather than having to put people in prison for the rest of their lives. How do we prevent a guy like that from going down that path? And that's the what happened to you question all over again. If he's willing to talk about it, because once they're that deep, most of them don't want to talk about it. And if they do, they're going to lie to your face over and over again and make excuses and excuse their behavior. So that's a rough one.
Dang. Well, I'm glad he's in jail. I'm glad he's in jail. I'm glad that you stepped up just just like we talked about in the old end of the episode, and now the new end of the episode, is that what you do. I've got into this story because what I know about Jon Bigler is that he steps up for people when they need him to step up, and he doesn't like bullies. And everything you just described that happened in that courtroom just sums up that experience to a T.
Yeah, and we would be remiss if we didn't, because we have talked about it multiple times, and the fact that we did go on a road trip to do this. Like, if we don't circle back to the "it takes a village," right, then we're kind of missing the opportunity. And the opportunity, like in summing all this up, is because it takes a village, right? Your organization, and yours is not the only one, and there's plenty of other worthy organizations out there that do wonderful things for not just victims of human trafficking, but just victims in general, right? There's tons of NGOs out there that do amazing work. So I give a shout out to those people, but I think our interactions happen. We met each other for a reason, and I believe God had His hand in that, and we are trying to make a difference together. So with that said, like, whether you can support Libertas International through a donation, through time, this is a huge one to me, because there's so many people. We talked about it. There's so many myths out there about foster care. There's also so many myths about human trafficking out there. Even if all you do is go jump on a website, right, for like NECMEC or any of these organizations out there that will educate you on indicators of human trafficking, what to look for, or they'll also help you understand the myths, the true myths between myth versus facts. The more educated you become on this, the more you're able to see something in public and go, that doesn't look right. And we hear it so often, sometimes as law enforcement guys, we get tired of it, to see something, say something. But honestly, that really needs to happen. If something doesn't feel right, and we're talking about the Spider-Man video game my kids are out there playing right now, if the spidey senses are tingling, there's something that isn't right. So whether you donate money, you volunteer time, I think it's a good opportunity to maybe highlight some of the people that have partnered up with you. That's not only done to talk about put your money where your mouth is, and you can maybe talk about more about it. You've got some wonderful donations from Wound Pro, but not just their donations. The one that's really like behind it is also donating her time, her abilities, her kindness, her heart. So I think those are the type of heroes that we need to highlight, because we need more of those. They're out there, right?
Yeah. We
found her it wasn't by chance. Like we got directed to her, and we won't talk about how. But those two people of mine, that have been a huge part of the success in my career. Yeah. And we're not going to dive into for their confidentiality, right? But they were people who had trauma, right? And they massively had trauma and had some things, and they started going down a path, and they had the opportunity that was presented to them to switch that all up. And then after working with me and working with people from my agency to basically right that wrong, they could have easily, when they no longer needed to work for us and help us to track down criminals, they could have easily walked away and said, the hell with that part of my life. Yeah. But those two people, those two brothers, who exactly who I'm talking about, they facilitated all of this stuff. Because why? They both have humongous hearts. They're amazing human beings, and so is Ariana. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Amazing human, and Dr. Bill. Yeah. Amazing human beings. We need those amazing human beings to step up for Libertas International, or go go find your favorite NGO, but do your research.
Yeah.
Do your research and make sure that they're doing what they say.
Yeah.
Make a difference, though.
Yeah.
Like, we need people to step up because we can't do our work. It takes a village.
Yeah.
We can't do it without other people. And ultimately, I mean, world community, like, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to end it. I think if I could give some recommendations for people listening, echo what Jon said, go find Libertas International or your favorite nonprofit, make a donation, become part of our community, explore foster care. If you feel you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that sounds really interesting, you want to make a difference, stand. If you live in California, Wyoming, Utah, Florida, doesn't matter, like, there's always a need for foster parents. So look it up. Learn from Jon. Step up for those that ask you to step up, whether there's cameras or not. Step up for the people that you care about, the people that need you, even the people you don't know, like those two little girls in Guatemala. Like, they didn't know you, and you still stood up for them. Don't be a bully and stand up to the bullies, because until a bully gets stood up to, he's going to keep doing, or she's going to keep doing whatever they do anyway. So stand up to the bullies. And as Sam likes to say, tomorrow is not guaranteed. There's no happily ever after. There's just happily ever present. Yeah. And so make sure to tell somebody to love them today.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I've got my two oldest out here right now. I just, we just had the opportunity to experience a beautiful wedding for my nephew. And I don't think that I've told my two oldest while we've been on this trip. I struggle with that. I show it in my actions most of the time, but I have a very hard time expressing that to them. So thank you for saying that, because before the end of the day, before this trip ends, I need to tell both of my my children, and when I get home, our twins at home and my wife, how much I love them, because I'm not good at it, but I'm going to try to be better at that. So thank you for that reminder, so I can go tell Allie and Jace, how much I love them, because they are a very essential part of who I have become as a person. They're part of my story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to sign off. Jon, Tyler, we're going for steak dinner tonight, and we will see you next time on the Locked Up Logic podcast.
Yeah. Go check it out.